What's good, neighborhood? And welcome back for the 17th episode of Warframe Wednesday. 16th, 17th. Yeah, I think this is actually. Yep, this is number 17. Man, I am honestly really glad that I've been able to keep it going for this long. And I'm hoping that I can get to a point where I wind up covering all 43 or 44, however many wind up in the game. Gonna keep going every week until the entire roster is done. But anyway, to everybody jumping in right now, it's great to see you. I'm looking forward to hashing out some more Warframe. And again, just every week as I go through and cover these, not only is it I hope it's a learning experience for everyone looking to get into the game, but even with that, it's also nice for me to actually you know, get back into playing different frames and different sets that I hadn't used in a while. Yes, I like deals. That's why I got those two games for $40 a couple days ago. That little message always makes me feel really sad and really bad for Ortis. But what do we have in the inbox? Done with the ghouls on Cetus. But anyway, let's get this meme build off the screen for right now. Because right now, for today's Warframe Wednesday, in the not so fair origin system where we set it, like where we lay our stage, it's time to continue with a little bit more of the Arthurian legend inspired Warframes. This time, the White Stag, Oberon. Now, I'll just summarize it for you real quick. Is best Oberon is best described as Oberon is best described by what his intended design was supposed to be for. He's best described as a druid or a paladin type warframe. And once we get to the relay in the training area, you'll get the chance to see it firsthand. Let's get back over here. And let's get right to the Cephalon area. Okay, so really quickly, we're going to go over Oberon's passive ability, which is, I guess you could say, part of his druid makeup. Because any of the feline or canine companions that you have with you, or that you can eventually have with you, any of them that are on the field at the same time as an Oberon get an additional buff to their health, shield, and armor. And they also get one instant revive per mission. So, like, the only times it doesn't work is if you're using Korra, one of the other Warframes, which I will be covering in a future episode, or if you have or if you have one of the cybernetic companions. So it's literally all about your cats and dogs. Now, as per the usual, we're going to go ahead and generate our punching bags. And we'll get started right away with the first ability you get right out of the box with Oberon. Smite. Now, Smite's your basic damage ability. You know, it's not necessarily a projectile on casting, but it's really dope because once you tag an enemy with it, you see the little energy orbs that, or the little energy wisps that come out of the target. They will fly around, do damage to other targets on their way homing back to the center for that one last burst. What's also really great is that it'll cast radiation status, which basically counts as confusion. How's it going, Critical? It's great to meet you too. I'm glad you're here, and if you're a Warframe vet, hopefully I'm providing some good information. If you're a Warframe rookie like myself, hopefully this will be a learning experience for you too. Alrighty. So, that's ability number one right out of the box. Good offense, great for crowd control. Once you get Oberon to rank 3, that's when you're going to pick up his second ability, Hallowed Ground. As you can see, the little grass that sprouts up, and you can hear the enemies being constantly damaged. Now, by and large, Hallowed Ground could be considered the core of gameplay with Oberon, because while it does continuous damage and of course causes radiation to your opponents, when you or any allies stand upon the hallowed ground, that's where the extra buffs you get start coming in. Appreciate the follow, my friend. But yeah, Hallowed Ground not only dishes out damage, you know, of course, it's continuous damage. But also, I'm pretty sure this gave buffs as well. Oh, that's what it is. It's not that Hallowed Ground gives a buff directly, but as a killer segue into his next ability, Oberon's next ability, once you get him to rank 7, that's where you pick up Renewal. So Renewal's really nice because this kind of plays more into Oberon's paladin side, because it's group healing. It's group healing that's sustained for as long as Oberon has energy. And of course, if you cast Renewal while standing upon hallowed ground, then the effect is only increased. Because not only do you get additional healing, but you also get an armor buff for that as well. Uh, yeah, I could definitely say. I mean, of course, you know, I've been doing videos on each of the Warframes for the past what 5, 6 months straight now. Not to mention just basic streams of the game. I'd say it's definitely something worth picking up. You know, it's free to play, and pretty much everything in the game you can earn it in game, either through actually going through the grind, which a good amount of it is real time, so be prepared for that, or if you pick up certain valuable items, you can actually trade them for platinum, which is the in-game currency. And platinum right there will help you get some of the more exclusive stuff, like different Warframe skins or the prime variants of each Warframe, which have, greater starting abilities. So, all in all, if you play your cards right and work hard at it, you won't spend a dime on this game unless you choose to. So, back onto back onto Oberon in particular. Let's get to his final ability that you unlock once you get to rank 10. This right here is the Reckoning. Once again, solid damage, but what you're really aiming for is, once again, that radiation proc. Radiation is Oberon's bread and butter. Crowd control through confusion. If you got your enemies shooting at each other, then they won't be shooting at you, thus you won't risk taking damage. Common sense. But one thing that Reckoning is also really good for is that any enemies that you kill with it, so if you're surrounded by a weak cluster or a weak mob, if you cast Reckoning, there's a good chance that any enemies killed by that will drop health orbs. And it goes up to like a good 50%. Ooh, pardon me. There is also the fact that you actually get some good armor reduction as well. So if you cast Reckoning on some heavily armored enemies like these guys, and then you start laying into them with gunfire, you can see that the damage pretty much starts picking up right after the first shot. So when you put it all together, Oberon is definitely, as I said earlier, Oberon is definitely the paladin Warframe that you would want on your team. He can be tanky, he offers great defensive and survivability options, and his crowd control is among the best. I mean, sure, I'm of the opinion that every Warframe is viable, and it is. It's just like with fighting games. Every character can be viable once you get into the mindset of how to play them. With Oberon, it's the exact same. I mean, yeah, you might have some, you'll have some healers around. No question. You'll have other healers. You'll have other Warframes that can do that much more in addition to their damage. But just like I mentioned in the description for Titania, don't sleep on Oberon. Well, don't sleep on any of the Warframes, but especially Oberon. With that out of the way, I'm going to jump back to the Orbiter real quick. We'll get him switched out for a different loadout to help me, really demonstrate what he can do. And then we'll jump into a live fire mission. So first things first, what I want to do... Now, just really quick, there's one particular augment, once you get into the game. Once you manage to land Oberon, there's a particular augment that you're going to want to pick up. And that's Hallowed Eruption. Sure, it kind of alters what you normally want to do with Oberon as far as his core gameplay. But if you use Hallowed Ground and then you do a second casting of it, then it'll immediately detonate. So think of it as kind of like laying down a minefield. Enemies step on it, they're already taking damage, they're already suffering from radiation. Cast it again, guaranteed radiation status, and it's like guaranteed radiation status, and you've got that extra burst damage right there. But there's also the fact that it doubles the duration, or it can up to double the duration of hallowed ground. So that's another little something you might want to keep in mind. But I want to switch out that hallowed ground for... additional ability strength, at least there. But, just like with the others, this first mission, I want to go into it with the Warframe unmodded. We're just going in with a base Oberon, well, level 30, but a base unequipped Warframe and weapons. Ooh, excuse me. So, any questions? I mean, Critical, if you're still watching, any questions so far as to any questions so far as to the basics of Warframe? I'd be glad to answer. In the meantime, let's go here. I should also set that to solo. Now again, since I'm normally playing this by myself and not, in any of the public servers or in the public server, a lot of the team-based workings I won't normally be able to demonstrate. Alright, which way do we go? This way first? So again, if you've got the energy for it, Smite is a great way to start a skirmish. Oh, I am out of energy. I need to fix that. There we go. Okay, where are you? There we go. Okay, I've got some more energy. Let me get to a space that's a little bit more open, a little bit more advantageous for me. Oh, hurry up and reload those pistols. And we'll let the almighty smiter do his thing. Oh. Alright, let me see if I can't pick up some more energy. Because that's definitely what I'm going to be needing.
Life support incoming.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. Well, I don't mind you lurking, and yeah, if you're a newer player, then by all means, I
Another life support
would
capsule.
definitely recommend, you know, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I can definitely answer some for you. Uh, One of my regulars who's also in the stream as well, uh, I'm sure he'd be able to answer questions for you too, because he's part of what got me into Warframe. Okay, looks like I got enough energy.
Life
Let's
support
power up that life
activated.
support. Get down here to the beacon, and let the real fun begin. Oh, dang it! I wound up down here, but what do you know?
Brown. Prepare for life support.
Oh, a funny little bit of trivia for you that I found out earlier this morning. Apparently, Hallowed Ground, when it was initially being designed, the first name that they gave it was Stairway to Heaven.
Life support activated. Additional life support has arrived.
Okay, we're almost at the point where I can go ahead and consider this survival run a success and make my way towards the exit. There we go.
Life support has been replenished. The raid is off to a successful start.
And there we go. That's what I was looking for.
Extraction is ready.
Oh, I don't have enough for Reckoning. Dang it. Well, I think I'm in good enough shape as it stands.
Life support on the way.
Alright, let's go on and make a break for it. So, this right here
Life
is...
support
Oh,
capsule
wait.
is now available.
Let's not deal with that. But hopefully that right there was a good demonstration of some of the basics of what Oberon can do. Now, Oberon is also one of the Warframes that currently has a Prime variant that is in play. And again, it's got different polarities for different mod setups, and it also has, it has some better starting and ending stats too. So if you've got the time, put in some grinding for that. Put in some grinding for that Prime variant as well. Now, the one thing I haven't covered yet, which is how to pick this bad boy up. Well, let me jump into the in-game shop and show you. Where is my dude? Here's my dude. So if you want to go ahead and pick up his, if you want to go ahead and pick up Oberon's, base Warframe blueprint, 30,000 in-game credits, you can jump into the shop, pick it up. As for Oberon's components, that's where things get slightly tricky. Mainly because, once again, much like with Ash, Oberon is a Warframe where all of his components, they actually drop from enemies. They drop from Eximus units, which are basically beefed up versions of some of the normal enemy units that you'll find in the game. Of course, there's a percentage to, each component being dropped. So you're definitely going to want to, well, you'll be putting in some time to pick them up. But I think, you know, once you earn the credits, you can pick up Oberon's component. You can pick up Oberon's base blueprint right away. And I think as you go through the game and complete the star chart, you'll wind up killing off enough Eximus enemies and picking up enough materials that you will organically end up being able to earn all of the blueprints and all of the components to build Oberon. And honestly, I think that's actually one of the greatest things about Warframe as a game in general. You go through all the work, you go through all the grind, and, sure, folks can get impatient and they'll just buy the currency to, speed up the process of creating these items. But Oberon was one of those Warframes where I got all the materials. I got all of the components for the Warframe itself. The neuroptics, the systems, the chassis. I got all three of them. I had the base blueprint. And Friday morning, it was on a Friday morning before I went to work, I started construction. Now, for most Warframes, it takes 72 real clock hours in order to make these things. And the clock is constantly going. So, like, say you started up at Friday, you started up Friday morning, 10 a.m. 3 days later, so literally by 10 a.m. Monday morning, the Warframe will be done and ready to go. So that's really, you could say that's one of the bad things about the grind in Warframe is, the necessity for real-time fabrication if you don't have the premium currency to speed it up. But coming back to this game after a long weekend at work, and you open up the foundry and you've got like 2, 3, 4 Warframes and a slew of different weapons waiting for you, it's a nice feeling. It makes you feel like you really earned it, you know? Anyways, that's enough of me waxing poetic. Let's get back down to the nitty gritty. So, I've already shown you the basics of Oberon's abilities, how to pick him up. Let's go ahead and actually jump into a build. Now, my Paladin build, I'm pretty much I pretty much did what I could to at least get some measure of increase on all of his stats. Everything from his ability duration to the efficiency or how much it costs, the range of the ability, and of course, how strong it is. Ooh, excuse me. Here, I'm definitely working more towards, strength and duration. But what you definitely want for Oberon is range. So let's see, strength, range. There we go. Now, the only problem with a mod like Overextended is that, oh, I don't even have enough to equip that. Never mind. Let's try something a little different here. We'll put Hallowed Reckoning back on that. You know what? We'll beef up his range there. That did a bit of a number on his power strength, but I think you'll see what I'm getting at here once I finally jump back into this mission. Let's give you guys a good look at what Oberon can do now. We're going to once again jump into survival. We're going to get ourselves a 5-minute run going. And I think we'll go ahead and summarize after that.
A lone Tenno operative is
Whoop.
raiding this ship for supplies. You are here to distract the enemy. Trigger the alarm.
And boom, there we go.
They have just shut down all systems. I'm sending life support capsules your way.
Ooh, that's a resource I'm going to need. Okay, no time to be messing around here. I need to get to that life support beacon, but once I do, I'll take those energy orbs, thank you. But yeah, one other thing that you're definitely going to want to mod Oberon for is how well he generates energy. Because, you know, you're going to really need it to make good use of his abilities.
Life support has been replenished.
So here we go. We cast Hallowed Ground with the additional range, and look at that.
Activating it will buy you more time.
Look at that. All that greenery sprouted up. And if you don't have Hallowed Eruption on, then that means that you can actually cast it again. Basically expanding the field of effect. So even if you don't already have it modified for stupid amounts of range, you can basically cover an entire room. Cover an entire room in green. There ain't gonna be much walking in here without,
Prepare for life support.
like, if you can get it to last long enough and get a good spread on hallowed ground, then you can basically make it so that no matter what's coming after you, if it steps into the room, it won't leave unscathed, if at all.
Another life support capsule is now available.
Okay, let me get over here to this next life support beacon and set up my field of dominance, my sphere of influence, as it were. Just a sec, y'all. Oh, and critical and I cheated. Occasionally, when I'm on camera, you'll notice that my dog likes to sometimes come up and steal the show. He's my little buddy. He he'd get the Oberon boost. Oh, hey, I'm trying to do something here. Ah! Oh, let me get back over here.
Life support on the way.
Oh, and since I'm already standing on that field, let's cast that. And there we go. I've got extra shields. I'm all healed up. Basically, you cast only two abilities with this guy. Hey, stop it. You cast two abilities with this guy, and you and your whole team will basically be back into fighting condition.
Life support activated.
Okay, I seem to have gotten myself into a bit of a spot of trouble. Something up there is draining my energy.
The raid is off to a successful start. When you are ready,
That's the 5 minute mark. Oh yeah, that's right. Renewal drained my energy. And therein lies one issue with Oberon. If you don't have any mods on him that'll help you regain your energy,
for a capsule.
casting Renewal becomes a bit of a double-edged sword. But let's go on and get ourselves to extraction. And that's going to do it.
Additional life support has arrived.
Okay, so we've seen Oberon kitted. We've seen Oberon with, a standard layout. So yeah, if I'm going to summarize, Oberon's good for solo and for team play. If you can modify him just so, then you can basically turn him into a full field of supremacy, full field of crowd control war engine. But if anything, if there's something I would definitely suggest for anyone getting into playing the game, try to find mods like Hunter Adrenaline, or what's the other one? Where's the other one? Where is it? Or Rage. Because let's face it, you're going to be taking damage. But if you have either of those two, or maybe even both, I forget whether or not they stack, but if you have either of those mods on your Warframe, then as you take damage, you'll get back that damage and energy, which you can use to cast your abilities, which can mean the difference between life and death, pretty much. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and end it here so that way I can finish getting ready for work, and so this little meatball right here can finally stop pestering me. But I'll begin another mission when I get home from work, or just chill. Anyway, I'm glad for you guys joining me for another week of Warframe Wednesday. This would make it episode 17, which will be going up next week on YouTube. But episode 16 featuring Titania is up right now if you want to go back and check that out. And I'll also be updating the playlist to make sure that all episodes that I've recorded up to this point will be there in one singular spot. For those of you new to the channel that just joined today, feel free to follow me on Twitter at DangerCombo2012. And until next time, y'all have yourselves a top-notch Wednesday. Stay good, neighborhood.